Live from clickorlando.com, News 6 Plus, and WKMG. We're getting results in your neighborhood now at 6:30 p.m.
Keeps you on the edge of your seat. You got, a little more wager into the game. It means more to you. So, yeah, you definitely get rooting for it. Everybody bets.
Everybody bets now?
Yeah, it's easy. It makes it more exciting to watch a game.
Nowadays, gamblers aren't hard to find.
I think anecdotally around people have it's become legitimized. It's legal and people are talking about their bets.
There's just been an absolute proliferation of gambling. It is the norm.
But with the popularity comes a problem.
Do you think this is a public health crisis?
It's not a crisis yet, but it's going to be one.
There's no slurred speech. There's no, card marks on the arm. There's no, roulette eyes or dice breath.
And those problems include the only resource to help problem gamblers.
We're doing the best that we can.
Betting on sports is nothing new, but for decades it was something done under the table. It was taboo and just something not a lot of people talked about. Good evening, this is News 6 at 6:30. Thanks for joining us here live on News 6 Plus. I'm Justin Wormuth.
And I'm Ginger Gadsden. Well, all that changed in 2018 when the Supreme Court struck down the Professional Sports and Amateur Protection Act. That barred sports betting in every state except Nevada. Now, the ruling gave states the green light to decide if, and in more cases, how they legalized it. In Florida, that legalization finally came in April of 2021 when Governor Ron DeSantis and the Seminoles signed a gambling compact allowing the tribe to begin offering sports betting across the state. In October 2023, after years of legal challenges, the U.S. Supreme Court rejected a challenge to the compact trying to block online sports betting. 2 months later, Hard Rock Bet went live for anyone 21 and up to download. Now, 1 year in, how has the app been received and what impact has it had on the state? And Justin, you wanted to know the answers to those questions as well.
Yeah, I sure did. And what I found, Ginger, was certainly surprising and quite frankly a little troubling at the same time. Full transparency, I use the Hard Rock app. My friends use it. Others here at News 6 also use that app. It is part of Sports Culture Now. But I wanted to know just how many people did too, right? So I went outside the Kia Center before a Magic game, and it was pretty easy to find some fans looking to make that game a little more interesting. Are we betting on tonight's game?
Yeah, we are.
What do you got?
Who do you think we got? We're not, I mean,
Magic,
come on.
probably.
Yeah, obviously the Magic.
Fellas, we betting tonight? Got a bet on?
Yeah.
What do you got?
So I got Orlando money line, and then Wagner, 15 plus points.
Online gambling has just exploded in popularity across the country over the last decade. Last year, Americans wagered more than $142 billion on sports. That is a huge jump from the $5 billion laid down in 2017 before that court ruling came down, allowing states to legalize it. One of the biggest drivers, the expansion of online sports betting, letting fans put that real money on the line with just a few taps on an app. And in Florida, there's only one option for bettors. That is the Hard Rock Bet app. What's unclear is just how many Floridians use the app and how much money has been shelled out. The Seminole tribe doesn't release those numbers, and they have not released them to us. But what is clear, at least to some people, is the legalization of online gambling in Florida hasn't been a win-win for everyone.
Do you think this is a public health crisis?
It's not a crisis yet, but it's going to be one.
All right, boys, who we betting on?
The commercials are everywhere. You see them, those familiar faces, placing bets, winning big.
The advertising is very difficult to avoid.
It's the alcoholic being in a bar. It's the same analogy.
And if you look closely, you'll also see the phone number 888-ADMIT-IT at the end of every Hard Rock commercial. That number is for the Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling. It's the state's only helpline, and it connects problem gamblers with services and resources 24/7. Jennifer Cruz is the executive director.
The majority of people that gamble do so safely, recreationally. They don't develop a problem. But when they do, it can cause a lot of problems.
Since the Hard Rock app went live a little bit more than a year ago, calls for those problems have skyrocketed. In fact, in 2024, the first full calendar year the app's been available to Floridians, roughly 63,000 people reached out for help. That is nearly double the volume from the year before. The center also keeps track of just who is placing the calls for help, and about half are men in their 20s.
Yeah, so that's the newest.
Dr. Keith Buckley teaches international business at Rollins College.
It's definitely normalized, and what we're seeing is this young men, it's a social activity. They're gambling between themselves using the app and the various of different games you can play. You don't know what high schools are doing, I don't know what colleges are doing in teaching about this. but it needs to be addressed because it is going to be an issue.
That's also where the council comes in. Aside from operating the call center, they do outreach and education in the community, and they start with young kids.
I mean, we're talking about, this was what, elementary, middle?
This is elementary.
You start early.
Yep.
Why?
Because prevention. It's all about prevention, having the conversations and explaining that, yes, gambling is normalized, but there is a risk that's associated with it.
Given how easy it is to place a bet in today's online world, Cruz isn't surprised to see more people getting hooked.
There's a basic formula for risk. It's accessibility plus acceptability equals an increased vulnerability to problem gambling. So, the more acceptable and accessible an activity is, the more likely there is a chance for people to develop a problem.
Even at the center, it can be hard to tell just how many people are really struggling. Cruz says only a small percentage of people who develop a problem actually reach out for help.
I think there's a shame and a stigma associated with it. I think that people that have a problem are afraid to admit it, maybe because of the finances that are tied to it. They're afraid it might impact their career, their ability to get a job.
Part of the problem, gambling is an addiction that looks unlike any other. There is no tell. It's insidious.
It's very much like substance use addiction, similar to alcohol and drugs, but it's also very different. There's no saturation point. Somebody can only sit at a bar and ingest so much alcohol or ingest so much of a chemical or substance before they pass out or have a physical, reaction to it. With gambling, you can, with the click of a mouse, lose millions, lose your entire life savings.
That's what's so scary about it, the hidden addiction part of gambling. And Cruz says those reaching out to the helpline in their greatest moment of need aren't the only ones needing help right now.
While we've had this huge increase in contacts to the helpline and, expansion of gambling in the state of Florida, there have not been, equitable resources allocated for this issue.
They currently have 7 staff members. They need 30 at the minimum and currently no state funding. So I'm going to have more on that part of the story, which is really eye-opening tomorrow. Again, if you or someone you know is struggling with a gambling addiction, the Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling is here to help you out. Call the number on your screen, 888-ADMIT-IT. That is 888-236-4848. It is such a problem, Ginger, and you heard about the number of people, about half of the callers under the age of 25, and you talked to Jennifer Cruz, the executive director, and she'll tell you that most of those people, if not all of them, start gambling in some sort of fashion, whether it's fantasy football, what have you, but when they're 18.
It seems so innocent, though. You hear fantasy football and this, that, and it sounds like, oh, what fun. But the fact that this app has been available for a year and you have those kinds of numbers, and I know the gentleman in your story said it's not a crisis yet.
Yet. And I think that is, when I was talking about this story, and I wanted to do more on this, I did think that it was a little maybe early to do it, but I thought at the same time, proactive instead of reactive. And I don't know if there's, and again, I'm going to get into a lot more tomorrow, but talking to the state and some of our lawmakers, it is not on their radar whatsoever, but you do have advocates in the mental health space and others sounding the alarm and trying to get ahead of this. So we're not playing catch up. So if you think about, and I don't want to draw comparisons, but when you think about the opioid crisis or alcohol or
so
tobacco,
far gone before we even identified it.
Agreed, and I hope that as a society we can learn from the lessons of the past, and try to get ahead of this. And whether it's not going to be getting rid of gambling. Gambling is here to stay. You have sports leagues that are now in bed with sports books, and it cat's out of the bag. What can happen is a change in advertising, self-exclusion, and there are plenty of other options to help mitigate this before it does get out of
explaining the dark side of it, too, when it doesn't go your way, because you're not always going to win, because chances are you're not.
How many times have you told somebody, I lost all this money? Nobody does that.
No, you only talk about it when you win.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, great job. Good story, too.
All right, we've been dealing with that fog in our area, and I bet more could be on the way. So let's get over to meteorologist Jonathan Kegas. This is something that we've been dealing with for a number of days now, Jonathan. It's sea fog, huh?
That's right. Lock it in. We're going to be dealing with this for the next several days because it's so warm outside. And the Atlantic is still relatively cool, 50s and 60s just off the coast. And we get the warm air over the cool air. The air mass above it saturates. You get it to condense to form that low-level cloud cover that is the fog out there. That is why we see it hanging out right over the Atlantic. There was a really cool launch just moments ago. Again, SpaceX punched right through it as expected. It's the upper-level clouds that they worry about, not the low-level fog. But you see visibility now at Cocoa Beach at 0, Cape Canaveral at 1 mile. Doing okay inland. That will change just like today and the last couple of days overnight and for your morning commute. Cool shot here, and this is exactly how it starts. Beautifully blue skies in Ponce Inlet. That's a live look with our WeatherStem network of cameras. But if you look low on the horizon there, back towards the east, closer to the Atlantic, you can already see that cloud cover, the fog starting to build. That will be a completely different story by the time we check out this camera tonight at 11. Temperatures in Ponce Inlet, by the way, near 68 degrees. Inconvenient weather day again tonight. Into tomorrow morning for the commute. The fog definitely was an issue this morning. It's going to be back in that same ballpark again tomorrow. We're going to talk about the timeline, when it really gets thick and when it gets out of here, coming up at about 6:47, guys.
See you then. Thank you, Jonathan. Well, there's good news and there's bad news about Florida's manatee population. Fortunately, since a record 1,100 manatees died in the state back in 2021, that number was reduced by half last year and the year before.
Unfortunately, though, more manatees than ever died last year before they were even a year old. An expert tells News 6's James Sparvero there's still reason to be hopeful for the future of our beloved yet vulnerable sea cows.
All right, I'm on the lagoon today, and I'm joined by Dr. Beth Brady of the Save the Manatee Club. Dr. Brady's in Pennsylvania, so we're going to talk over the computer. Dr. Brady, we're all wondering, why are baby manatees dying at such a high rate right now? Do you know?
Yeah, so the past couple of years ago, there was an unusual mortality event where you had a lot of manatees that died due to lack of seagrass in the Indian River Lagoon. So I guess you can imagine if you haven't had any food, it's going to be really difficult for you to reproduce. Some of these manatee, the calves that we're finding are stillborn. But it's still a good sign to see that we're seeing more calves. It just means these animals are coming back to be able to reproduce again.
So do you expect next year maybe the calf mortalities will drop?
If the trend continues the way it is, we would expect it to drop off and hopefully have more live births as opposed to more stillborn calves. But it still remains to be seen.
Across the state, more than 500 manatees died last year, about half of the worst year on record, 2021. But when you compare deaths that were less than a year old, there were more last year, a record amount of 154. Brevard County just celebrated completing its 100th project to clean the Indian River Lagoon. And like Dr. Brady told me today, back in December when I talked to the Marine Resources Council, they grade the lagoon's health in a yearly report card. They also told me a lot more needs to be done to protect the lagoon and wildlife, like the manatees.
We're in no way saying that the lagoon is healthy and restored. There's a lot of work to do, and we need multiple years of progress before we can really start rebuilding the ecosystems to what they were.
On the Indian River Lagoon, I'm James Sparvero, getting results, News 6.
Oh, we got to do better by them.
We must.
We really do. I love manatees. Well, News 6 is hitting the road. Join us Wednesday, February 19th, as we bring you the news live from Ormond Beach. We'll be at Grind Gastro Pub and Kona Tiki Bar from 4 to 7 o'clock. Come meet us and share your stories and concerns. We'll see you then. Well, many of us use our closets for more than just hanging clothes. Some use it to store miscellaneous items.
Whole mess of stuff. But has your closet rack ever come crashing down?
Oh.
Leaving you with a mess? Happens to all of us at some point, right? Coming up, News 6 handy newsman Eric Von Anken is here to show you the perfect fix to get that closet back in order. That's coming up next. You're watching News 6 at 6:30 live on News 6 Plus. We're getting results in Kissimmee, Daytona Beach, and all of Central Florida. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Hi, Eric.
Bob.
Hey, how you doing?
Are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Clearly we're in the right place.
Absolutely.
You know I'm the handy newsman. You have a broken closet rack?
Yes, I do. You want to come in and take a look?
Let's check it out.
All right. It's in here, Eric. This is our utility hook.
I think it's just a matter, Bob, of replacing the anchor, using the right anchor. I brought some.
Okay.
We're going to try and get results for you.
Awesome.
Step one is take it apart. Just take the whole thing off the wall. And by the way, you don't need a power screwdriver. You could use one of these, a Phillips. You probably have one of these, right? Step two is getting the right anchors and putting those in the wall. So this is what was in there, and they're generally fine if you don't put a whole lot of weight on that rack. But if you're going to load it up, get yourself some toggle bolts. Each one of these holds up to 70 pounds. This is the way that a toggle bolt works. When it goes through the hole in the wall, the wings fold. When it comes out the other side, the wings open and brace themselves against the back of that wall. So this screw ain't going nowhere. The thing is, the old hole now is just a bit too small for this new toggle bolt, so I'm gonna have to drill a slightly bigger hole. So now we're gonna take the bolt, we're gonna put it through the hole on the rack and screw it into the toggle part. And then the toggle goes through the wall. So now I'm going to hold the bolt so the toggle on the back stays in place, and I'm going to screw it in. Okay. And then just pull on the rack a little bit to put some tension on the toggle on the other side and finish it up. Now we're going to do the other three holes. Gonna go get Bob. All right, Bob, how'd we do?
Wow, that's great. Man, nothing's coming off of this one.
We didn't find any skeletons in your closet, but we did get results at home.
Yes, we did. Thank you.
That's got to be one of the most frustrating things, though, when you put something after a long day and you go to hang something and the whole kit and caboodle just comes crashing.
Even worse, I've gone home and it's already down.
It's already
it's
down.
waiting for you.
Yeah.
Just close the closet door. I'll deal with it later.
We know it can happen to anyone. So if you'd like to watch that again, we've put the full repair on clickorlando.com. Just look under Getting Results at Home. Eric also posts those step-by-step instructions, list of materials. And hey, if you have a project that you want Eric to tackle at your house, that's also the place to do it. Getting Results at Home. That's an email address at WKMG.com. You can also check out online as well on Click Orlando. And Eric might show up at your door, not unannounced, not uninvited. He'll reach out and they'll pick a good time. But if you have something like that,
oh my goodness, that just makes me anxious to even think about it.
I kind of want to check on my closet right now because I'm like, there's a good chance that it's
Don't
down.
do it. Don't do it. It's on the floor. All right, let's take you outside right now. This is our Launch Credit Union camera. Ooh, man, this is Port Canaveral. Look at this. What is that like some foggy action with some sunsetty action? What's happening? What are my eyes seeing?
There's a lot going on. Yeah, those street lights
like
in the
Blade Runner.
background making that fog look really weird outside. Yeah,
that
it's
orange
crazy.
glow, yeah.
It's haunting.
It really is. It's kind of, when it's foggy like this, it is kind of creepy.
It is. This morning I was walking the dog really, really early, and it was just that eerie feeling.
Someone gonna pop out at
Someone's
any moment.
following
Yeah, exactly.
you, yeah.
I'm like, okay, what was that noise? Just giving that a close ear behind the shoulder. Repeat performance again tomorrow, guys, across Central Florida. And we're really going to kind of rinse, wash, repeat over the next several days because of the cool Atlantic and these extremely warm temperatures. The above normal temperatures, complete 180 from that really cold end of January. Yeah, it's gone. And we are all here to stay. So there you go, Ginger. There's the kind of the footprint of that fog right now. really thick right along the coast. The 10 number is a perfect visibility, by the way. That's where the visibility rankings go. So 10-mile visibility in Daytona at the airport, but just to the beach, it's pretty much near zero. So that's how far things change. That's how quickly things can change in the fog. That's why it's so dangerous to drive. And again, had a lot of problems this morning with the thick fog as expected. Again, a repeat performance again tomorrow. Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos and Trooper Steve will be guiding you through that tomorrow morning again. Another eerie look at Port Canaveral again with our Launch Credit Union camera. It's really thick out there. Again, you can't see on the other side of the port when we had this turned to where the cruise ships are parked or docked. 68 degrees is the current air temperature, wind at about 7 miles an hour, and the humidity near 100%. Again, that's not really how it feels outside. And when you're talking about the humidity like that, that's when we really talk about saturation. It's the dew point that really determines what it feels like, how uncomfortable or comfortable it is. But when that number is 100%, that means we've reached saturation, and we're just about there. You can clearly see that, or not clearly see that with the fog. Visibility out there this evening, taking you through the rest of the evening, and watch that fog work its way back in again. Really thick by 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. That is a pause at 4 o'clock, really down the I-4 corridor. And then it expands even further as we move towards 6 to 7 o'clock. So the fog really thick from Leesburg into the villages, back to Sanford, DeLand, into Maitland again, Eustis, Mount Dora. It's going to be really foggy through Apopka again tomorrow morning. Same deal as you get into Zellwood, Kissimmee. We're going to be locked in the fog. There is 10 o'clock, just like this morning. You will notice that fog lift again. You won't see the sunshine widespread just yet. Once we get towards 11 o'clock or lunch, give or take, that's when we will start to see more sunshine. Overnight tonight, back to the 50s and 60s. Still watching out for that fog. Air temperatures again tomorrow, back into the mid-70s in Mount Dora, 81 in Kissimmee. We're at 75 degrees in Holopot. Mico, we're at 73. Breeze off the Atlantic going to keep us into the upper 60s in New Smyrna Beach. And at Cape Canaveral, again, temperatures currently, because of that easterly wind, pushing that back through. The big chill hanging across the northern tier of the country. All the warmth has been bottled up into the deep south again. We're going to keep that same kind of pattern, La Nina pattern, really in full swing. And that's going to keep us really, really warm for the next 7 days. For that, here's a look at your pinpoint accurate forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Florida Lottery.
Temperatures tomorrow getting back into the lower 80s, more like the upper 70s along the coast. 84 degrees on Thursday. We're back to the mid-80s again on Friday. Really warm this weekend. Slight chance of rain coming Monday and Tuesday. Again, every day pretty much watching for that thick fog potential, guys.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. Let's take a look at what's trending right now on Central Florida's #1 news website, clickorlando.com. You can wear whatever you want, but certain stylistic choices could get you kicked off flights in Central Florida. Number of airlines setting the record straight on what they consider lewd outfits.
Amen.
Yeah.
So here's a hot tip for you. Don't board your flight barefoot or with see-through clothing on. Trust us, nobody wants to see that.
Well, it depends.
It's not the Grammys.
Oh, it depends, yeah.
Oh, it depends? No, Justin. It does not depend. We're on a flight, dude.
Okay.
ClickOrlando.com has a breakdown of the dress codes for airlines operating at Orlando International Airport. Obviously, don't get on a flight Justin's
Hey, listen,
on.
if Margot Robbie's trying to come in with see-through clothes, I'm like not going to stop her. Or I'm like, yeah, sure, come on
It's like
up.
here, right in the center
But
seat, man.
I get it.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
It's not. It's really not the time and place. And again, they're not putting that out just to put it out.
Yeah.
Clearly, they've had some issues.
It's going to go so far that they're going to go back to the days where we had to wear like suits and pill hats.
Yeah.
It's like, let's not.
Yeah, and
I wanna
smoking
stay
cigarettes on,
comfortable.
on the planes, that was allowed too. Here's some other stories trending on clickorlando.com. In case you haven't planned Valentine's Day yet, you really should get on that. But nevertheless, clickorlando.com is sharing 6 Florida restaurants that made Open Table's list of the most romantic in the United States. One of them is right here in Orlando. I know we have so many options to choose from.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I have no, wait a minute. A romantic
option for Valentine's Day. There are just too many that come to mind, I think.
Is it something where what do you call it when you kind of cook the food yourself? You're doing all the work.
Oh, like fondue?
Yes.
Like melting pot?
Yeah. Is that?
I don't think it's melting pot. No offense.
No, I don't think so either, but a style like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here's the thing. If it's that romantic, it's book solid.
Yeah,
so
that's
next
too
year.
late, next time.
year.
Yeah, exactly. And your next partner, too. A Central Florida city has been named the safest in the state. It's based off the lowest rates of property crime. ClickOrlando.com reveals the spot. It's in Osceola County.
All right.
A lot of good ones.
No, there are a lot of. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, my neighborhood's the safest
Yeah,
neighborhood.
of course.
The thing is, you got the whole city to work with here. So check that out. We'll be right back.
Your Tuesday evening traffic alert. Not only do you need to watch out for the extreme dense fog that will be out tonight, but you also need to watch out for construction. It's not going to stop it completely. It may hinder a little bit, which is good for you and I driving, but they need to get this stuff done. I-4, State Road 44 out into Land. We'll see some ramp work out there and then some lane closures along 417 and Moss Park, but also on the main line of 417 all the way towards Boggy Creek. I'm Trooper Steve with the News 6 traffic alert. Drive safely and I'll catch you in the morning.
All right, thank you, Trooper Steve. You can catch him live on patrol on ClickOrlando.com. And art science may not be everybody's strong suit, right?
No.
But even if that's the case, what have you learned about that while also having fun?
It would help. And you can do just that by stepping into the world of optical illusions and mind-bending fun at Paradox Museum, Miami. So it's in Miami. But the 11,000 square foot space in Miami's Wynwood neighborhood, really chic place, is like an art gallery, science exhibition, and 21st Century Funhouse all in one. It's got like everything all in one. With more than 70 exhibits that'll have you questioning reality, it is a perfect spot for your next Instagram post. And we know Wynwood is kind of like that. It's like, but the Paradox Museum has locations around the globe. Miami is the first in North America.
All right, so remember those old carnival fun houses? Is it like that?
Like the yak woman?
You'll find
oh gosh,
like the mirror maze and upside down room here. But with a twist, they explain the math and science behind all the magic.
They don't just throw all the mirrors at you, they explain
yeah,
it.
exactly. And you can get out, I guess. All right.
Yeah.
Hopefully. All right, thank you so much for watching News 6 at 6:30. Stream News 6 online anytime on our News 6 Plus Smart TV app.
We'll see you back at 11. Hope you have a great day.